What's up, guys? Welcome to this week's episode of Merricks Garage. Today, I got a review on my $2,000 Chinese lift. I've had it for a year and it hasn't killed me. So when I moved into the shop, I was obviously limited on funds, and I looked at all the nice lifts, and yeah, they were great, but they just were out of my price range. I did a little research, and I saw that some people had had some success with cheap lifts. And despite my better judgment, I thought, well, that's the way I'm gonna go. And I paid $2,000 to have this delivered and installed. I ended up kicking down the installers a couple $100 just because they did a great job, and I figured they probably were not getting paid by the guy who sold them to me. And it's worked great. It has had some drawbacks. It has had some things that I have not liked. But overall, I've been decently happy with it. So in today's video, we're going to go through what I liked, what I didn't like, what I am looking for in my next lift, and give you guys some idea as to whether a $2,000 lift is the right choice for your garage.
Before we get into what I liked and disliked about this lift, I'm going to give you the details of it and talk a little bit about the options you can get if you're shopping for a lift. This is a 10,000 pound symmetric clear floor lift. What that means, 10,000 pounds is obviously it's a weight limit. Symmetric, meaning that the pillars are symmetric, they are not angled out. And it is a clear floor, meaning that the tensioning cable is up top above a crossbar. So it's not what I ordered, it's what showed up when the guys finally got here. I had ordered, or at least I thought I had, a 10,000 pound asymmetric lift, but when the guys showed up, which was completely random, they gave me like a 12-hour window, and they just arrived. They had a bunch of lifts in the back of this stake bed truck, but they didn't have an asymmetric, and so I'm like, whatever, just put in the symmetric. The symmetric keeps the pillars parallel to each other, meaning that the front and rear arms are of the same length, and when lifted, the center of gravity of the vehicle will be in line with the pillars. That sounds like a great thing, except what it does is you can't get in and out of the vehicle very easily. When you open the door, it hits the vertical pillar. I would have liked to have an asymmetric just so that I could have been getting in and out. It would have made things a lot easier. The other thing was the clear floor. I wanted to have a clear floor. I didn't want the tensioning cable down there. Would have to bump over it with a welding cord or anything like that. And honestly, I don't see why you would get a non-clear floor unless they're substantially cheaper and it's not a big deal for you. So that's what I ended up with, a 10,000 pound symmetric two-post lift, and it's worked well. I mean, it's never failed. It's just given me a lot of stress. So let's get the Suburban up on the lift. I'll leave the camera rolling so you guys can watch this. And yeah, we'll get underneath and I'll show you what I like and don't like. Okay, the truck is centered as much as I can get it centered. It's so long that, well, I'll show you. So let's get it up. And I want you guys to listen to see, you can hear the clicks. That is the safety latch catching as it goes up. If the lift were adjusted properly, it would be clicking at the same time. Mine isn't, and you'll hear it. Okay, so front wheels are up in the air, rears are still not up. I could adjust the risers, but it doesn't seem to work. If I put more lift in the rear comes up soon. It doesn't seem to make much difference. So this is how I usually run it. See? Pretty sketch. Okay, well, that's about as high as I like to go, and it's about as high as I need to go. It's up. It's definitely up there, and it's fairly stable. I don't muck around with it a lot when it's like this because it does freak me out. I have, where are they? I have some threaded Acme jacks that I usually will put underneath when I'm working on it for a while. If I'm removing like a transfer case or transmission, going to be upsetting the balance, but I don't have those right now. But let me bring you guys underneath and I can show you the pros and cons of a $2,000 Chinese lift.
It's that time in the video where I ask you to subscribe to my channel. So, subscribe to my channel.
Well, I mean, it's up there. I can get underneath. I can work on it. The first thing you're going to notice is this thing is pretty extended and it's got a pretty good bend to it already. And I kind of have to go with this position because this is where I can get to the frame rail and get the span between the front or rear arms to be the most stable. But it's bending, not because of poor design. I think it's just because of load. You can even see it on the rear back here. Like, that sketches me the heck out. The other thing I'm not a huge fan of is these lift pads aren't the greatest, meaning that they have to pretty much be centered over this thread. If you are off a little bit, the platform underneath is not that wide. It's not as wide as the rubber bumper would have you believe. So you got to really make sure that you get it centered under the rail. And once again, look at that droop. Yeah, ignore my parking brake mess right now. It's just to get it up and out of the way. Yeah, same thing. Look, that's some crazy droop. But like I said, it hasn't fallen on me. So I guess it passed that test. Here's one of the other things that drives me a little crazy. These are the safety releases. Let's put that back now. And lower it back down onto the stops, which you'll see is a little nerve-wracking. One side's gonna come down first, then the other. Nice. Oh, jeez. Okay, I'm not gonna mess with it while I'm filming. What was I showing you? Oh, these stops. These are the releases, and there's one on either side. I don't know if you can see the other one over there, but you have to hit both of these for the lift, obviously, to come down. There's a lot of lifts out there that have these on one side, and I thought that was just a luxury. I really would prefer that. I think it's gonna add to safety because you don't have to either dive underneath the vehicle or run around the vehicle to release both safety levers. You have the release here for both of them. So I want that in my next lift. You can also see I have broken off the teeth mechanism that engages. It's actually down here, right down here. This guy sits right there and engages so the arms won't swing. It's got some pretty crappy welds under there, and that already broke off, which does not instill me with confidence. Granted that the whole lift is basically hinging on this pin. The more I look at it, the more it sketches me out. What else? Well, I don't know how balanced the truck is front to back. It's hard to see because I don't have enough room in here to get around, but it is, it does look a little bit drooped to the rear. Yeah. The lift itself, you can see it's bending. Now, I don't know if this is just normal to be expected or a sign of a bigger issue, but it does make me nervous. And it's one of the reasons that, quite honestly, I don't really know if I could recommend a $2,000 Chinese lift. I use this daily, and it's always used with heavy stuff, and it hasn't ever failed me. But I kind of feel like I'm on borrowed time. I mean, it works. I'm going to continue using it. I'm just going to be paying more and more attention to it because it stresses me out. Now, if you are using one in your garage every now and then to change your oil, this would be perfect. It doesn't have a lot of the creature comforts and features that you'll get with like a bend pack, but it does save you a chunk of change. It does everything else that a lift would be expected to do. And at the end of the day, that's what really matters. I think the safety is there. I'm not really that worried. I'm just aware of it always. But yeah, let me show you one other feature that's a nice addition to this lift that did come with it. And then we'll put this guy back down on the ground because that's an adventure in itself too. The lift also came with these risers, which go in here and give you a little bit more clearance. I've got one for each corner. They're keyed, so they key in really nicely and they're secure. And they work well. Some lifts won't come with these. You'll have to pay extra for them. Mine came with it. And I've used them quite a bit and have been happy with them. So that's a plus. Chinese lift came with all these spare parts.
Okay, now that I've shown you it raising and lowering, let's bring it down. And I want you guys to pay attention to how smoothly it comes down. It's actually going to jerk down one arm each way, and that is also a little bit unsettling. And I do this as slowly as I can. I feel like this is probably one of the most dangerous parts of the whole operation here. Don't worry, that was just my antenna hitting the light. Have I mentioned that the Suburban is massive? Okay, what you're also going to see now, as the rears hit, it does tend to shift the vehicle, which makes repeated up and down a challenge. Because I have to keep lining it up again, which means pushing it all the way out and coming all the way back, and it's a lot of work. But no one ever said building these things was easy. And there you go, off of the lift. I didn't die yet again, so thumbs up for that. So can I recommend this lift? No, I really can't. I just would feel terrible if I recommended it and someone did get hurt. Now, can I recommend another lift? No, I don't have any experience with any other lifts. This has worked for me, so make your own decisions, use at your own discretion, and your own budget. For me, I could not afford a big, expensive, super safe, heavy-duty lift, and so this is the route I took. It has worked. Now, if you are just doing small jobs, like I said earlier, this might be a good solution for you. If you're a heavy user with a ton of different vehicles, maybe not the best.
I don't make it a habit of doing many review videos. It's not the meat and potatoes of this channel. But I have been using this lift every day for about a year. And I know that a lift is one of the things that most garage and home mechanics dream of. I know I did for years. So I hope this is helpful. I know it was kind of ambiguous. I mean, it's one of those, you kind of get what you pay for. I will reserve judgment ultimately until I have tried a lift that costs 3 times what this one does. And maybe then I'll do a review video on that. But I can definitely see why this one only costs $2,000. At the end of the day, it got the job done for me and it hasn't failed. So it's passed the test in that regards. If you want to see some of my other review videos, I will put a selection up here for you to go check out. And I'll be back at you next week with, hopefully, a driving Suburban.